For early access to new episodes and other exclusive content, go to patreon.com/MiharuTheFox. Hey guys, it's Miharu and welcome back to SpyroCast. This is episode 51, and today I have with me, introduce yourself please.
What's up, y'all? ZavulKing here, or Zav for short. If any of you have seen me, you've seen my works on like Spyro-related stuff, mostly the Legend of Spyro redesigns of things from the classic trilogy redesigned for it. So that's what I've been doing mostly. Occasional fan art from time to time for it, but just trying to explore some stuff and do some fun speculation for it.
Very cool. So what is your history with Spyro?
Well, I played it since I was young, mostly the classic trilogy. I grew up playing majority of the games over the years. I was introduced to the classic games, and then I played the Legends series, and then the Skylander series, I only played one, but I never played any of the other ones in the future. But I've been around for years, and that's basically just the majority of my history from it.
Oh, okay. So what would you say your favorite and least favorite games are?
Honestly, throughout the years, I've honestly liked the Legends series a lot because there's a lot of like potential world building that the series lacks. I feel like that it needs. It's sort of something I've been wanting to do for a while now with all the stuff I've been working on, because I feel like it's the only series that has like so much more to it that I wish it had more. And I think out of all of it, but I will say, though, Reignited definitely is my favorite, but from the Legend series, Dawn of the Dragon, but Least favorite, I'm not entirely sure. Other than I can recall, I did play Enter the Dragonfly, but I didn't really play it too far in that much, so...
That's fair. So, no least favorite, not even in the Legend trilogy?
That's the thing, I've only played through Dawn of the Dragon entirely. I need to replay A New Beginning in the Eternal Night, and find out a way to replay some of the games, or even play some of the ones I haven't before.
And you've played the originals and Reignited, right?
Yep, I played all the originals, just that I never beat any of them before because we did have a PS2, but the save card, I don't think it worked, or it wasn't the right type for the system we had when I was young. So I didn't really beat any of the games at all until Reignited happened, and I finally managed to beat all 3 games.
Nice. What's your favorite one of those?
I would say Year of the Dragon. I ended up playing that the most out of all the 3 back when I was young.
Nice, very cool. How come? What appealed to you most about it?
I generally liked more of the characters that showed up, and the beginning of the whole world felt really nice to go to. But it wouldn't help the fact that Year of the Dragon was like maybe the only game I've had the most around. I don't know if I remember having the first well, I do remember having the second, but I think just something to Year of the Dragon, I can't really quite put my finger to it, to why I played it a lot more. But I think it was like a lot more fun to play with like a lot of the mini games and stuff like that.
Very interesting. I think most people would say some of the mini games in that suck. Even me, and that's my favorite game, so.
I like the skateboarding sections, they were fun.
That's fair, a lot of people do like those. So, back to the topic of A Realm Beyond, what were your thoughts when you first saw that trailer?
Oh man, dude. I wish I had a more excited feeling, but I was like, okay, so when the announcement happened, I was on my way back home when I went somewhere with like my family. When I did hear that it got released, I wanted to freak out, but I kept it quiet because I wasn't loud, but genuinely I was teary when I heard about it, and oh my god, so much. I'm curious what the hell the new villain is, what the worlds we're gonna explore, and I'm curious how the free flight's gonna go, because there's so much I'm curious about that I don't know what else, other than I'm curious what happened to Sparks because he wasn't in the trailer.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mystery. Although I do think he's still going to be in the game, as well as the other characters. We just have to wait and see what's going on with them.
If anything, I'm hoping some returning characters come back, like Aurora, Hunter, Bianca. Hell, why not bring some characters that probably haven't been seen in a while? Like, I know a lot of people's fan favorite is Cinder, but
yep,
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really mind if she isn't brought into the new game. I don't mind Cinder being in the game. I feel like that's a cool thing, because it means the Legend series is at least not forgotten, but at the same time, I don't really mind. If anything, I hope Flame or Ember get a chance to come into the new game, because they weren't really seen in Heroes Tale and Shadow Legacy, and nowhere else.
Yeah, I do think it would be very interesting for them to come back specifically and actually have a role, be able to do something. But it's interesting that you're neutral on Cinder. I personally want to see her in the classic timeline. But now a lot of people are saying that when Cinder comes back, or if she comes back, that they should just go a new beginning route, like with her being a villain at the start and then becoming an ally, like the same story. What do you think about that?
It would be interesting, but I think it would be a little bit of a better twist if she actually did serve the villain that was in the trailer instead of just being the big bad, because it's not confirmed that she's a big bad because the guy in the trailer had a guy laugh, so basically we're dealing off of a dude. But it would be interesting if she was brought back. She would probably be served as like a servant to him out of like basically being forced to do what he wants out of her control.
Right. And who do you think that the new villain could possibly be based on? Because I know if it's a completely new villain, like, it's not going to be an existing character, most likely, but it definitely could take inspiration from villains we've seen before after the originals. So who do you think that it could possibly be in that case?
I actually am not sure. A lot of people have been thinking it may be the Sorcerer from Shadow Legacy, because I think it was said that the game does take inspiration from Shadow Legacy, and it'd be interesting if they did bring the Sorcerer back, but the horns are a bit different from the Sorcerer. I mean, from the concept art, or like for Shadow Legacy, showing the enemies and stuff like that, we didn't really see what he looked like under it all until we got to see his full form, but that was more so when he transformed after, not before. So it may be a new villain entirely, but it would be 50-50 whether or not it's the Sorcerer from Shadow Legacy, and I wouldn't mind. Just curious, just really curious to see who it turns out to be.
Yeah, the Sorcerer is my guess too, and although I would prefer an entirely new villain, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility to think that it could take inspiration from the ones we've seen before. So it's like, it's a new villain, but new to the reignited timeline, if that makes sense.
More so the classic game timeline, but yeah, I'm hoping it is a new villain because it definitely just adds more to the world.
Yeah. And in terms of gameplay, I guess, what are some of the most important things you think A Realm Beyond should have?
Well, by the looks of it, delving into open world and having free flight, the one thing that open world games will suffer if they don't do is basically just leave a lot of those spaces blank. I feel like it'd be better if the game sort of included a lot of things to make it seem like it's not empty, like at least more creatures, more nature around to make it feel less empty. And free flight, while it seems like we could be flying anywhere, we still need like some, in the trailer it looks like we do need some way of propulsion or some way of helping us fly around. So we're not going to constantly fly around anywhere, but we're going to use some things to help us, so basically fly around more.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people are skeptical about the free flight because, you know, I guess more so the possible open world aspect of it all. You know, they want that linearity, they want those limitations. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think maybe a mix in some way. Like, so God of War had sort of something like that, where even though it was open world, there were some paths that were linear, so that way it didn't feel like you were going to constant open areas that were too empty. So I think something like that could work for it.
Okay. Are there any other sort of speculations you have, whether about the gameplay or the characters, the story?
Considering that the game draws inspiration from different types of Spyro games, I think it would be interesting if they incorporated more combat options or like more elements, because if anything, Enter the Dragonfly, I think was maybe the first game that Spyro got more than one element.
Yes.
And I think it would be nice if they made a callback to that and just added like more elements for Spyro to use, but for different scenarios that would work, even against enemies that might be different, so you can't rely on one element all the time.
Yes, that is interesting. That's one of the great concepts that it had. Unfortunately, it wasn't executed in the best way, but I really liked the different elemental breaths and having to use it against certain enemies. That was a very good idea. So going back to your speculations, were there any that you had on maybe the story itself?
I'm not sure. Other than I feel like if the story takes place by the looks of it, like in the beginning it showed like a whole desert canyon area, and then the next part it showed like ruins in a whole forest area. I'm assuming it's probably going through the same different realms that the classic games had, but a lot more open for us to explore. And if the main villain has some influence to what happens to these worlds, then I'm curious to see if there might be some things he has done to the worlds themselves to make it seem like you have to free the realms from what he's causing.
Okay, that's an interesting idea. And what do you think about the concept of, Spyro being stranded? What do you think that's going to add to the plot of this game?
I think it's interesting. I think it could definitely explain reasons of why we probably don't see Sparks, or where anywhere he's going is not familiar to him from any place he's been to. He can't find any of the people he knows, any of the dragons. So I think it'd be interesting if he does get stranded. He might come across some new people that he hasn't seen before, or new places that aren't familiar to him, which could leave a lot of how much he sees through the world.
Right. And that's where I think that Cinder could come in, because it does say something about him having to make new allies. And I think that Cinder could possibly be one of those allies, if not Ember or Flame, or maybe a completely new character that we've never seen before.
If anything, I'm fine whatever the people go with. I'm just curious to see how it's all going to play out, because this is going to be something new for the series that I don't think has ever been done in like years, since it's been technically 8 years since Reignited Imaginators was like a decade ago, I think. And Dawn of the Dragon, which was the last mainline game in a standalone game, that was 18 years ago. And Shadow Legacy was 21 years. That was set in the same universe as the classic games.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So it's definitely going to be heavily ambitious for Toys for Bob to make a new game that's set a entirely different gameplay tone. But I'm looking forward to it, because I'm hoping they might pull it off in some way for the first time.
Yeah, me too. The craziest thing about this is we have no idea what direction it could go, really. And, it's the part I'm most anticipating. But do you think it might be a bit too ambitious in some areas?
I'm not sure. Other than like being too ambitious can be too risky, but if honestly, I think the ambition that they're doing is refreshing, because I'm gonna be real. Most games nowadays have been repeating the same genre that has been done over and over again: realism, hero shooters, MOBAs, and stuff like that. It's honestly refreshing to see something stylized and be ambitious with taking the direction for a character that hasn't been done before. And to me, that's refreshing, because I'd rather see more of that than the same oversaturated genre games that we've been seeing for years. Because it's stylized games to me feel more appealing than realism. Not to saying it's not a bad thing if games go for realism, but it can be demanding for like anyone wanting to play them. I mean, I play Monster Hunter Wilds sometimes, and that game takes a lot to they optimize it now, but that game, even then, if you want to play on higher settings, it takes a lot more stuff to be able to run with all of it. And to me, realism is going to keep pushing for that, and that's a problem to me.
Yeah, I get that people aren't really into the realism thing now. Things change, and what's cool always changes over the years. I personally don't mind the style of a game if it plays well and, the story is good and there are characters I can latch onto. As long as it has that, I think there's something for me to really like about it. Like, personally, I love the Horizon series. So, that's just one of my favorites and something that I don't really mind. But here's an interesting question. What would be the worst thing A Realm Beyond could do?
Oh, God, that is a hard one.
Like something that could just completely destroy it and make it suck.
I've heard, in fact, freaking people behind it use AI and stuff like that, but I don't think they're using it and stuff like that, and that's a good thing. But if I were to say not that, I think mostly if the game's taking a different tone in its direction, I think the worst thing it could do is sort of like, actually, I'm not entirely sure. Other than the worst thing that I think could happen is that the game kind of reuses a lot of stuff for a lot of the end game stuff, and that doesn't seem too bad saying it. But if anything, if we're gonna face off the villain at like a final area or something, I feel like it'd be better if it'd be meaningful and the reason for the journey to the new realm.
Mm.
And if it isn't done right, I feel like it kind of loses its momentum.
Yeah, that is true. I do think that there will be meaning behind the story of this game, though, because as we've seen, apparently something about this villain is going to push Spyro to emotional depths or something, their own words. So I have no idea what that could mean.
If anything, if they're going to go that direction, I'm looking forward to it, because I mean, it'd be nice if Spyro, even like the classic series, got a little bit darker, but not too dark to where it crosses over Legend of Spyro territory. But I wouldn't mind that either, but I feel like some people would feel mixed about it, and that's fair.
Right. Yeah, to me, that means that the villain might be another dragon, because something that could, stir a powerful emotional response from Spyro, like, might be one of his own kind causing trouble. So that's what I thought. Now, going off of what could be the worst thing they could do, I do have a couple options. And what would be the worst thing out of these, do you think? Either bringing back Ripto, including Skylanders characters, being fully open world, or adding RPG elements?
I mean, RPG elements wouldn't sound too bad, but I think some would probably feel mixed about it. Bringing Skylanders characters, I wouldn't actually mind if they brought Skylanders characters, because I'm gonna be real, I used to be one of those people that didn't like Skylanders because of how I felt like it didn't really feel like Spyro at the time, but I think over the years, I started to slowly warm up and actually feel like I missed out on playing the games, and makes me wish I did. Ripto, I'm not sure. I feel like it would be probably a bad thing, kinda, because I feel like in the second game, he did die in the lava pit in the second game, so I think it'd be freaking bad if they don't give like a reasonable explanation to clear it all. And the open world aspect, I think going completely open world has a risk to it, because if you go open world completely, you're bound to at least have some places that feel empty that would be one of the immediate flaws of the game, which is why I feel like, again, it would be better if we went linear but open world too, a mix between the two, so that way it feels like it'd be part of the game series, how they've done it for years, but also just opening more for Spyro to travel.
Right. Yeah, I think open world sounds like a fine idea. I mean, I can understand that people still want the linearity of it and, the contained levels. It's what Spyro is all about. But I honestly have never been opposed to the idea of like the interconnectivity of certain worlds.
Curious if like what worlds are going to make that's new or something, or we might revisit old worlds. It could be interesting to see how they do it.
Yeah, actually. In fact, I wonder if we do get to revisit like old worlds and locations and stuff, if it's going to be like a twisted version. Like, I mean, that's just like Shadow Legacy in that case, where it's kind of like the Shadow Realm, I really wonder if they're just going to take, a page from Shadow Legacy's book in that case. Actually, going off of that, if you were to create your own homeworld for Spyro, what would it be?
Dang. It'd be pretty interesting to see what it would be like prehistoric times and stuff like that, because like a prehistoric world with like dragons that have adapted to living around regions dominated by large creatures that roam it. It may sound dumb, but I think it could be interesting, because I bring that up because the only prehistoric looking creatures I've seen through the game were the lava lizards, and it makes me feel like, what if there's like a whole region that's sort of similar to them? Like, what could a whole region of like prehistoric creatures that have like dragon-like features on them look like, especially?
Well, there was Jurassic Jungle from Enter the Dragonfly.
Okay, then. I don't think it's too out of the question, then. That's the only thing I have in mind, but I'm not sure if I have anything else. But that's basically all I can think of right now.
Okay. Would you rather Cinder be reintroduced into this game, but Elora is nowhere to be seen, or Ripto to come back as a villain, not the main villain, but as a villain, and he dies permanently?
It would be nice to see Cinder come back, but at the expense of Elora, who's part of the classic world, I think that'd be a bad thing to me. And as much as I know it would probably be dumb for Ripto to also come back, but if they make a good reason to how he survived and why he returned, and ultimately putting an end to him permanently, I'd rather go with that, and I hope it doesn't make people upset. I don't mind Cinder, but it's just that Elora is more so part of the classic realms, and I feel like a game that is set in the classic world, but now they're gone for this character that's from a different universe. I feel like the game would be missing something all the time, and I feel like Elora should always be part of it, even if like people would want to see a character they have from the Legend series again.
Right. So you'd rather we just kill Ripto off than not have Elora back.
Look, I'm not saying like I don't want Cinder in the game. I don't mind. I would be hella surprised if they did. But again, Elora has been part of the classic world, and I don't want her to not be in it for another character. Which again, that doesn't mean I don't like Cinder. I actually like her character from the Legend series, and I feel like a lot of times it's heavily overlooked. But yeah, I'd rather go with the Ripto option, unfortunately.
Dang. Yeah, it sucks because I love Ripto, but man, I just don't want him to come back. Not this soon, at least.
Oh man, I'm hoping it doesn't make people mad, though.
I mean, hey, it's gonna make someone mad, but whatever. But on a more positive note, I guess, if we are to have more playable characters, who would you want those to be?
Ooh, I think any of the characters were introduced in first games, like either Laura, Bianca, Hunter, or bringing back new characters like Flame and Ember, or any other character that a lot of people would want to see and play as them throughout the game. I think it'd definitely be interesting, but I feel like it'd be more interesting if Laura, Bianca, and Hunter were brought back as playables, because I think it'd be interesting to see how they would be played differently compared to Spyro. Because I know Hunter uses a bow to shoot, Bianca has magic to wield. Laura, I think the best way to make her fun to play was her just be good at parkour, because she is a fawn, and it may not make sense because I think they're a relative to a deer, but at the same time, in the second game, she would be technically from the same world as the fawns and satyrs in one.
Right. So a fawn is actually a human-goat hybrid.
Oh.
A lot of people get that confused with fawn, F-A-W-N, which is an adolescent deer.
Oh, okay. Well, if they do bring up some way for her to use magic, I think it'd be nice if she used magic that involves nature, because I think that'd feel more fitting for her due with how she looks.
Right. And she did have healing abilities in Crash Team Rumble.
Oh, yeah, that could definitely work.
Yeah, I thought seeing her in that game may have been a way to tell us, hey, she could be playable in the next Spyro game. So it might have been a precursor to that. We don't know. But if only one could be playable, Elora or Bianca, which one would you rather have?
I'm not sure. If anything, Bianca feels like she would have more magic capabilities. And I think it'd be nice if they did make her playable. I think it'd be cool to see how her journey would be if she was playable. So I think it'd be interesting with how Bianca would be played, especially with her magic, since she carries a book with her that has a whole lot of magic to use, and which we did see during the third game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always thought it would be cool if, in a way, she learned from Hunter, and she was also taught how to use a bow. So it's magic arrows. I thought that would be super cool.
Oh, that could be hella cool if they decide to do that. But we don't know, because we don't really we only saw one trailer and that's it and nothing else.
Yeah. For now, though, I'm sure there are many cool things in store. Well, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for being on this episode of SpyroCast. That was a great conversation.
Yeah, this was really nice. I like this.
Yeah. Yeah, it was so cool. And thank you, all of you out there, for listening. As always, don't forget to subscribe for more casual gaming content, and I will see you in the next SpyroCast. Until then, this is Miharu, signing off.
Adios, amigos.